Y'all, Kimberly goes 3-star tomorrow.
Started recording for you.
How flipping awesome is that? You like the gallery? That makes me nervous with all these people staring at me. What if they don't smile? What if they don't like what I'm saying? Just kidding. What if, oh my gosh, what if, does anybody else ever feel like that in the business? That sounded ridiculous, what I just said to y'all, didn't it? Like, you're like, that's ridiculous. She's like, what ifing? Like, what if we don't smile? What if we don't like what she says? What if, how many of you guys do play the what if game every single day in this business? Oh yeah, see, there went some hands up. Exactly. I saw Heather was like, me. You can only fix what you'll recognize, you guys. So now you gotta like a inside look into like a in your face look of how ridiculous that looks. Okay, because what if we flipped it the other way? What if I said something today that just changed one person's entire journey? What if I said one thing that clicked with you today that completely changed your family's life? Right? What if I decide I got too scared and I shut this computer, I just had too much anxiety and I shut it and I walked away, but inside my mouth I had something that would have changed the trajectory of your entire legacy. That's how powerful what we do is, right? That would be asinine if I was like, today, bam, you know what? Just don't even look at me. Just look at the ceiling. This is way more comfortable. I feel much better here. Kind of. I'm so nervous. You know what? I just don't think I'm going to do it today. I just don't think I can. You know what I'm saying? Right? If you change your what ifs from the negative side to your what if to the positive, that's where we have to live. We have to live in that space. And that's a decision. And there are definitely ways to overcome that with personal development constantly and writing it down. And I know that you're amazing speakers tonight, Christy, Vincent, and Jess. Although, Jess, it says Williams on your thing, and you just threw me off because I was like, wait a second, is Jess Fodor and Jess Williams in the same state? I'm so confused. Are they hanging out today?
I mean, are you married or not? Come on.
So Jess and Christy have amazing stuff for you tonight. I just had dinner with Christy and her awesome family tonight, and hearing about everything they're going to share with you guys about how to rock phase 1, because phase 1 is where the magic happens. See, a lot of times we shift out of phase 1 into doing the really, really fun stuff, or the management stuff, like the stuff where it's like, you know what, today I really want it for you more. So go ahead and climb on my back. I'm going to carry you across the finish line. How many of you guys go into management mode with your coaches or your challengers? You know what I mean? Where you come out of, because we love and we care so much. And I used to do that as well. That's what working with Danny has helped. Well, we don't work one-on-one. When I say that, I feel like I work one-on-one, but I just sit in the audience like everybody else does. So, but that's what Danny has helped me do, is to go from people pleasing to people loving. And there's totally a difference. But you have to love what you're doing first. You have to believe with what you're doing first. You have to believe that what you're doing is making a difference. See, sometimes we can get into the mindset that who could possibly afford this? Who possibly wants this? I don't know anybody that could possibly benefit from me. I don't know anybody that would want to do this. I don't know anybody that's ready for this financial burden. Financial burden? I've heard that before. Burden, like that mindset. See, Danny always says, and I promise I'm going to hand it over to our speakers here in a second, but Danny always says that if you are getting the same objection, it's because you're provoking it because you believe it. You believe it. So if you're getting the same objection in coaching, it's because you believe because communication is 93% nonverbal. So if you keep getting an objection, a cost objection on your challenge packs and stuff like that, that's because you secretly feel that the challenge packs are too expensive, right? Or if you keep getting an objection on coaching and, it's taking up too much time, it's because you secretly feel coaching takes too much time because you haven't figured out how to balance everything, okay? So you have to ask yourself what your beliefs are when it comes to this business. Are you the one that you get anxious? You're like, I just can't do it anymore. And that's life and death is in the power of the tongue. Or do you believe that you have something to say? Like you have something that that can benefit people, that can change lives, that can build a legacy for your family, and that can loosen the noose around those people and the financial noose around their neck, the way that Christy Vincent has and Jess Fodor has. And you know what does that make sense? The many, many people on our team. What do you believe? Do you believe that you're a good leader? You know, the best thing that Tracy Morrow ever told me was posture yourself like a 15-star coach right now. Does anybody know what a 15-star coach acts like? Can anybody imagine? Well, let me tell you really quick what that looks like, okay? It looks like an inbox full of 100+ messages every single day. It looks like 1,500 posts on my profile page of people that have tagged me that's waiting to be approved. It looks like 50, 60, 70 messages on my not messages, but comments that I need to respond to and say hello to and thank them and honor them, okay? So if you're going to act like a 15-star coach right now, well, how do you think you posture yourself? Do you think you get caught up in doing all the graphics, or you sit there and stare at the computer and say like, no, how am I going to do this today? Do you spend 30 minutes on one invite? Or does a 15-star coach sit down and know that they have these things to do, and they're diligent and efficient and their heart's in it, and they're like, bam, bam, you know, this is good. Do you see what I'm saying? How many of you guys are ready to posture yourself in that way? It is a mindset, it is a belief, and everything will change when this changes. And that's what started to change for Jess. And I know she's got a story for you guys, and I know she's going to deliver an amazing message. And I was going to go into all this recognition, because recognition is the fourth vital behavior, and I'm really, really trying to be better at it, because it's not my love language. And I promise you, I'm trying, but I want to deliver you guys the content. So I have one person, well, I shouted out the amazing Kimberly Wilcox. We already knew she was amazing, but that's an incredible thing. She is like riding the Ruby wave. Danny talks about that. You guys know, those of you guys been to Danny, you guys all know about the Ruby wave, right? The Ruby wave, man. It's the rubies that grip everything, and they strive, and Danny's been just like hammering the rubies, like release, receive, ride the wave. And that is exactly what Kimberly has done. And dang, she is riding that wave like in style. Like it's not even shaky. It's like this. And then Katie Black. Okay, I don't know if she's on. I imagine she is, because the day that she signed up, she was on this webinar last week. She is 7 days in as a coach, and she is on day 5 of Like a Boss training, and actually answered the questions on day 5 and sent them to Christy. We were talking about that today. I was like, holy cow, you know, holy cow, there are coaches on this team that have been here for months, years, and we're like, wait, no, I haven't quite made it through yet. But Katie Black, man, that is being faithful with the little things. And so I wanted to give her a shout out before I handed it over to Christy. You ready, girl? I'm going to mute you. Oh, hold on. Let me do it. Okay. There you go. You ready?
I'm good, but Jess is actually starting first.
So look at that. Her. Let me unmute her. There you go. Let's go.
All right. I guess I'm up. Thanks, Chrissy. And then I kind of looked at my picture, and I am actually wearing a shirt. You can't kind of tell, I guess, from my hair.
Oh, that's, yeah, right. Yeah, right. We know. You're spicing up the marriage. I know. No, it's cool. Yeah. It's good.
There you go. All right. So I guess I will start off with a little bit about myself. So I'm Jess Fodor. I don't know if I've been on here one other time, I think, talking about my marriage. So married to Jared Fodor. Have an amazing husband. I've been a coach on this team for a little less than a year. My 1-year anniversary will be coming up here in about a month or so. But I honestly don't think I've ever shared my story, only with a few select people. So this is definitely a step out of the comfort zone. So we're going to go for it here. But I guess growing up, I never really fit in. I didn't fit in with the guys, didn't fit in with the girls. I was an athlete growing up, so I could actually kind of beat the guys, and they didn't like that. And then the girls, they really didn't like me either, because I didn't necessarily wear what I was supposed to. So didn't find myself fitting in anywhere. And then I spent a lot of time I guess with that by myself. A lot of time talking to the dogs because I didn't really have anybody to talk to. But my identity was being a serious athlete. Like that's how I identified growing up. That's where I spent all my time. That's what I did. I had dreams and aspirations of playing a professional sport. Unfortunately, I obviously did not make that happen. So when I wasn't able to, it kind of threw me because I didn't really know where I was supposed to go from there, because I just figured that's exactly what I would be doing. I'd be playing professional golf somewhere, that's traveling the country, and when that didn't happen, I didn't really know what to do. But also with that came a lot of pressure to I don't know, just that was what was expected of me, I think, not only from myself but from my parents, but pressure to be that support system, I think, financially, in the long run. So that combined with, I guess, some family stuff kind of caused me to turn to food, not only as a comfort but as a punishment for any possible shortcoming that I had. So my relationship with food hasn't always been, I guess, the best thing. I was a very extreme person. So I would go 110% in either direction, but whatever direction it was, it would be pretty intense. So, I'd go to the gym at 2 in the morning and burn off every single calorie that I ate that day because I had tracked, what I ate for the day. I would, starve myself for most of the day and then get so hungry I would, eat bags of chips or like a half gallon of ice cream or, at a time. So, laxatives, binge eating, you name it, I've probably done it and I've probably been there. And then I guess I was diagnosed with mono, and then 2 days later, I ran a half marathon. And I don't know if anybody has ever had mono, but like you're extremely tired. But that was kind of the mindset that I was in. Like if I passed out, then it was a good workout. Like it was to that extreme. So obviously not the healthiest in that regard. So, and I also had a very intense hatred just for myself. I didn't like looking in the mirror, call myself fat and ugly and, stupid on a daily basis. That was, something that happened every time I looked in the mirror. And I remember crying in my car, like all the time, to and from different events, just because I was sad. Like I didn't really talk to anybody, didn't have anybody to talk to. Excuse me. And so I was in like this hole. I just felt like I couldn't get out. I went to college for exercise science. Like I knew I was not supposed to be doing this. Like that was, I knew better, but it was like I could not get out of this hole that I had dug for myself. And it went on for, honestly, over a decade. So I guess one night I was sitting in my apartment. This was a few years back, and I saw an infomercial for Insanity. So I was about 2 bottles of wine into it, and being the person that I am, I was like, seriously, it's the hardest workout ever put on DVD. Like, I got this. I want the t-shirt. So I ordered it. And with that being said, I hit the coach. Like there was a button that said something about like coaching. And I was like, I don't really know what that is, but why not? Like, I don't know. Let's give that a go. So actually that's how I kind of got started. And I was on a different team before this for a few years. And I actually met Christy at the airport. Jared and I decided to go on the Beachbody cruise. This is like, we're a little bit nuts because we hadn't really been dating all that long. And he's like, you want to go to the cruise? And I was like, yeah, but seriously, it would be nuts to go. And he's like, well, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So our flights were actually delayed and all sorts of craziness happened. But I met Christy. I overheard a conversation with her, and I heard Beachbody and was like, and I don't like to approach very many people. I'm kind of shy, but for whatever reason, I approached her and was like, I'm a Beachbody coach too. And so we literally talked for like 30 minutes. And then I didn't see her for like a year. And we ran into each other, and like, no pun intended, but at a race, like a run, like a race. And I was walking, and she's like, "Come on, go faster." So then I actually teamed up with her, talked to her for a little bit, and then I think she messaged me out of the blue about 6 months later. So it was a little while later. And then was like, "Hey girl, how are you?" And I was like, "Really? Well, I wonder why she's messaging me." But I was like, actually, things are not going well. I was getting ready to get out of the Beachbody scene, and then she shared a coach opportunity webinar with me, and it completely, I remember watching it and looking at Jared, and I said, I don't know what it is, but my heart is telling me I have to be a part of this team. And that is, I guess, how I got involved with this team. So, and then not too long after that, I guess the leadership conference in Utah, and me not really trusting people. Being an athlete, it was always, you have to be the best, and people are looking to kind of do what they got to do to get you out of your spot. And I didn't really trust people all that much, and especially women. No offense to the women, but they had been pretty mean to me in the past. And so I really kind of went into it with walls up, not really willing to be vulnerable. And I remember spending those 3 days just crying, like bawling, and then exercise after exercise. And I wouldn't talk to people unless someone told me to. Like, I was like, I'm not talking to anybody. And then, of course, we did those exercises, and I'm like, crap, now I have to talk to somebody. But at the very end of the very end, Layla called me out. I'll never forget that. And she's like, why are you always somewhere else? Like, why do you not want to spend time with people? And I go, that was my way of kind of coping, and because all those demons kind of came back, everything that I tried to, push back and not think about, think about, kind of came to fruition. And so I spent most of my time on the basketball court, and she called me out on it. And then Andrea and Angela happened to be over there, and I don't know what happened, but something on my heart told me I needed to share. And so I shared a little bit with Andrea and Angela that night, and we've been pretty good friends, really great friends, I guess, ever since. So I guess since then, I've been to like the Danny events, the team events, and I've gotten to know some of you amazing, beautiful people. And I guess for a girl that always felt, alone, and I finally feel like I belong. Like, I finally feel like I belong to something, and something that I had wished for. I'm going to try not to get emotional. Something I had wished for all my life. I no longer cry in my car because I'm sad. I actually cry because I'm so happy. This team has completely changed my life in ways that I never imagined. And if I'm being honest, I have no doubt that it saved my life. So to all of you guys, thank you so much. And I will never be able to thank you enough. So, sorry. So that's my story.
Wow. Okay. I'll give you a second to breathe, even though I can't. But thank you for just so brave, and that this is what this is all about. So amazing. For those that don't know me, I've been on a couple calls recently, but my name is Christy Vincent, and I have been on this team about 2.5 years, and like Jess, it has changed my whole life, but kind of in completely different ways. So that's what's so cool about this. And like when Jess came up to me at the airport, I had no idea where it was going to go, but I just knew I connected with this girl, and I kept her on my list, and I checked in, and then I didn't know where it was going to go. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about later. You just have to keep making those connections and not make it about you. And, just for that story, that makes any waiting or any other no's I've ever got worth it for that one story. But so my story is, I'm a mom of 2 boys, and before Beachbody, I had perfected the smile, being happy, always, never anything was wrong, always loved people, wanted them around, but I slowly felt myself pushing further and further away. And the last time I went to Danny, she talked a lot about that as a pearl, that we give and give and give, and then at some point you start keeping everybody at arm's distance. And that's definitely what I was doing. I was 40 pounds overweight, and but no one knew, like I hadn't even told my husband how much I weighed or what pant size I wore, and I was just thinking about that the other day. The first person I told was Summer, my coach, and like sent her pictures. And before that, I didn't own it. It was such an emotional, like a number on a scale was my value for so long. I was always the biggest cheerleader. I was always the biggest dancer. I had to go they would dig through the box, I remember, to find the biggest skirt, things like that. Like I can still play in my head. And so I just decided I was, that my value was on my size. So until I dived into this journey, suddenly I detached from that and I just started feeling better. And through the course, I lost 40 pounds, and my husband and I have paid off. I lose track because it goes up every month, but I think $15,000, $16,000 in debt. And this summer, my husband was laid off, and this business that we've built, our family has built over the last 2 years, allowed us to have peace all summer and him be home and take the time to find a job and not rush into something. And he actually just got a job this past week, and I was able to walk away from my job at Ohio State that I do on Sundays that I've done for 7 years. So just the peace and decision making, if that makes any sense, that this business has given me is really my story. Like Jess, I found people that were like me, that related to me, that understood what it felt like to not feel like you belonged, and kept pushing me and getting surrounded by the right people. So it's just amazing, and these stories are what you need to hear. So Jess, we were going to talk a little bit very first before we get into the content, and I apologize, we're two pearls, and so numbers might not be great tonight, but we have 3 main points and then some extras. So, but to start out, we wanted to talk about the definition of success and kind of play off a call a couple weeks ago. If you haven't listened to Liz and Aaron, I think we're together talking about the definition of success, kind of playing off that. So Jess, do you want to go first?
Sure. So yeah, success, and Liz kind of talked about this I think it was a couple of weeks ago, about success and the definition of it in regards to you, because everybody's definition of success is a little bit different. I actually looked up the definition of success in the dictionary just because I was like, I wonder what it says. But it says a person or thing that achieves desired aims or attains prosperity. And with that being said, success means different things to different people. And I know personally it's been a bit of a challenging month or two. I hit diamonds, and then unfortunately I'm back to emerald. But and then I kind of started questioning, myself as far as a leader is concerned, my leadership. And then the thought that it even crossed my mind, I need to take my name off of this sheet, because who am I to be talking to all these people? I don't really have anything of value to add. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, a leader. So I kind of regrouped, had a little bit of a gut check, and realized, okay, wait a second. I am not defined, my success isn't defined by Success Club points. It's not how much money I make. It's being a friend to somebody that needs it. It's being that support system, watching people learn themselves, or leading by example. So that is my definition of success. So I challenge you, if you haven't yet, to sit down and to write, what is your definition of success? What do you see as successful? Because it was definitely kind of a gut check when I lost rank and was like, wait a second, that in the big scheme of things, I'll eventually get that back, but it really doesn't so much matter. I actually had somebody reach out to me a few days ago that's struggling with an eating disorder, and so that to me is way more. It's way bigger than a success club point, getting her help that she needs and being, somebody for her to lean on. So I challenge you to, define what success is to you.
Jess, can I share something in regards to that? Off of what you said? You guys, it is very normal to lose rank, okay? I've gone 15, well, okay, let's go back to the day. When I hit diamond, I did the same thing Jess did. It was like, whoop, and then I hit diamond, got a little stronger, and then whoop, and then, it's like that, and you focus on what's going well, and you keep going, and it keeps building, and the business center and the people you're working with get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's how it works every step of the way. You should expect to lose rank. I talked about this on a live video yesterday. Those falls are there for a purpose, to strengthen your legs, right? Just like when our kids learn to walk, if they never fall, they would never really ever be able to run. Their ankles wouldn't be strong enough, their quads, their hamstrings, all of that, all of those leg muscles, the core, everything would not get strong enough, because when they fall down and stand back up, it's like a squat. Okay? It's every step. When you hit 2-star, you should expect to lose it. When you hit 15-star, you should expect to lose it. And sometimes it can go all the way down to 9, okay? And then back up to 15, and then back down to 11, and then back up. It's what it does. I was talking to some of the top coaches today on the phone about it, and they at one time had 21 diamonds, and now they have 9. And 4 of them are hers. You see what I'm saying? Her own business centers. You have to expect it. It grows stronger and stronger. You better believe that the girl I was talking to wasn't like, you know what? Screw this Beachbody thing. I give up. It's not meant to be. She stood back up, and her legs got a little stronger, and her team's legs got a little stronger. And that's exactly what Jess is doing. You're not defined by a scale, and you're not defined by a rank, Jess. You are not just the diamond coach. You are Jess. Does that make sense? Okay. Go on, girl. Sorry, I get kind of passionate about that one.
All right, is it my turn? So yeah, I agree. And we just had that same conversation last night, that I lost rank, and then my husband lost rank, and then I gained rank. Like, it's all part of a fun little game. But then it becomes very solid in that. And then you get to go to the next one, and then 1-star is very solid. And, that's just how it goes, and emerald and ruby and all those wonderful things. So for me, success is being with my kids, and calm, and not worried about finances, and not worried about those kind of things. For me and my personality, with my upbringing of being in bankruptcy and not being able to afford prom dresses and things that are important, having that all taken care of in a way that I've done by cutting my expenses and paying off debt, not necessarily by making more money. We're actually, I keep cutting jobs so we stay with the same amount of money, but I get to work less. So that's success for me. So it looks different, and I talked about this a long time ago. You need to set those milestones. If you're feeling like you're spinning your wheels and you're not getting somewhere, it's because you haven't set milestone markers. So success for me was, I need to make $300 a month. So I can get rid of first it was $100, so I could get rid of my Saturday AM job. And then I need to make $300 so I can get rid of one day at the hospital. And then I need to make $1,000 a month so I can walk away from something else. So you need to set those markers, or else you're just, where are you going? And you're never going to know when you get there. And that breeds a lot of dissatisfaction and stress and anxiety. So, the first thing, and Jess and I will kind of bounce back and forth, but our first tip, so number 1, is in stage 1, you need to always be building your contact list. So Jess, you want to take that away?
Sure. So yeah, always want to be building a contact list, like Christy said. And I know Danny talks a lot about different pawns to find different people. So it could be community. I know she goes on a lot about community. Do you really know what's going on in your community? I know I definitely didn't. And then, Facebook groups, festivals that are in your, local festivals, theater, she actually mentioned, which I never would have thought of. Car shows, craft shows, school functions, sporting events, family gatherings, but dive into different ponds. But she really kind of focused mainly on community, because community is where, like, I guess, community-minded people, that's where they are. So people that like to help people that help people, if that makes sense. But that's, that's where they're at. But she also mentions, if you want to grow your business, you have to, and she says, get a life. And that was kind of a big one for me, because I'm a hermit. Like, I love being at home. I'm not so much as, like, I love hanging out with my friends, which are now all Beachbody people, thankfully. But Jared and I are we're content just having a fire and staying at home. But it was like, okay, time out. I'm kind of reaching an end point to some of my my contact list. And she says, as soon as your building contact list stops, so does your business. So you have to continue maintaining that. So, farmers market is another one. But getting out of the house, because who wants to sign up for a business that looks like you're not having any fun doing it? So go out, get a life, have some fun, make it attractive to people, because people, they're always stressed out. If you look, people driving or just, they have a lot of stressors, and they want to do something fun and something with purpose. And so you have to make it look attractive. But community is, I guess, a big one as far as where to meet people.
Yeah, and like her quote is, community people are people who help people without the expectation of something in return. And that's what we want to focus that we are, and that's the people that we're looking for. Those make amazing coaches that help people without the expectation of a lot of return. That's who we're looking for. And those people volunteer. They're out in the community. They're on the PTOs. They're at the dog shelter, wherever that is. That whatever your passion, find where people do that and go meet them, because you're going to connect with them. For example, myself this summer, I wasn't sure if it would fit in, but I decided to run our church's vacation Bible school. And from that one experience, because not only was it people in my church that I have connected with, lots of community people brought their children that don't go to our church. I've gotten 5 customers and 2 coaches already. That was like 2 months ago. From that experience, I got to meet them. I took care of their kids. They came and go. It just was. And then all of now those ponds. So when I connect with a customer, it opens up their whole pond. So that's what Danny talks about. It's not even necessarily that the person that you can, what's the word? Connect with, but like talk to at the farmer's market, that they're going to be a customer, but they may have 3 friends that become your customer. When you make a connection with someone, then that opens you up to their pond of influence, is what we're looking for. You're not always looking for a sale with that new person. You're looking to just have access to their friends and family to take good care of them. And when you show that person that you are truly a friend and you want to get to know them, they're going to trust you with their contacts. Jess, what did you do since Danny?
As far as the contact list?
Yeah.
Well, definitely Teamsy has been of help, but that was kind of a big one. But as far as what I've done differently, I have tried to reach out to different people and not be so hermity, if that's even a word, and go to different functions. I actually, this happened today, somebody randomly friend requested me, and so I actually sent her a message starting to form her, and now it's become, come in tomorrow, there's a personal training position open, looking for somebody to kind of run this and take it away. I'm just like, whoa, time out. But she's like, I already feel like I know you. And we had only talked via message, but it was because of Danny's forming and knowing how to, I never asked her what really she did. I just said, like, what got you into that? Tell me about your family. What do you like to do? And she called and she said, I feel like I already know you just from the few conversations that we've had. And that, I think when you can make that kind of connection that quickly, things like that happen. So just, branching yourself out, doing things outside your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And so the next part is who you are looking for. So anyone, if you've heard of an avatar, basically the idea of that you need to decide who you are looking for. And not everyone that comes into your business is going to fit that perfect mold. That's not what we're saying, that you need a bunch of molds of you. But you need to decide who you're talking to when you're doing social media. Otherwise, it's going to come across very blanket. It's not going to connect with anyone. So, for example, my avatar is like a 34-year-old mom named Susie, and she works full-time. Susie's a great name. But she works part-time. She has boys like me, so therefore she really likes to have a nice house, but she's just given up. And so, but yet we attempt to look crafty at times and put together, and really just likes to drink beer, not wine. We're not wine people. And hang out, loves to be with her kids. Like, so a mom that wants to do things with their family and how to fit it all in, and wants to be home more, is who I'm looking for. Someone who balances things out, but likes to work, likes to be involved, busy. That person is who I'm talking to. Jess, who's your avatar?
Honestly, it sounds like Susie and Jen are pretty close.
But no kids.
Because I have age written down, it was 34, so that's funny. But yeah, just, somebody that stays active. I think I enjoy talking to people that do like to be active. I'm more of a wine drinker than a beer drinker, so people that like to go to, pack a lunch, organic food, healthy food, go to a winery, sit down, have some good conversation, listen to some music, that kind of thing. But I think this was a big deal for me because I had never sat down and defined. I was just like, I just want to help people that want to lose weight. And that was kind of what I left it at. And, if it's not dynamic, it's not, it's not specific, I can't say that word, specific, then it's not good enough. So you have to define and be specific, and that's definitely what the avatar did. But yeah, it definitely sounds like Susie and Jen are somewhat close. Maybe they're friends, I don't know.
Yeah, they can be friends, I guess. And then the third, so that number one was building a contact list. Number two, decide who you're looking for, because it's going to drive how you talk to people, how you post, all those kind of things. And then number three,
Christy,
oh, sorry.
Christy, I want to give them like 60 seconds to do this, because people will brush over this. And you guys, this is so key. This right here, knowing who you're talking to is so key, because this is what causes people to say, is she in my head right now? How many of you guys have said that when I've done a live video right now? It's almost like you had that day and you were like, what in the world? Like, does she know how I'm feeling right now? Like, you know what I mean? You know exactly who you're talking to. There's very few times that there's a man that gets on mine that goes like, wow, she's really speaking to me right now. You know what I mean? And that's on purpose. You know what I mean? There's probably very few 21-year-olds that get on and be like, that girl right there, we're connecting like that. You know what I mean? Like, they might think I'm nice, but we're not this 21-year-old is not my avatar. You know what I mean? So this right here is absolutely vital. And then all your posts are talking directly to this, my person is Isabella, your best friend. Isn't it funny to hear what people have named their avatars? So like Isabella on the other, because Isabella just sounds like so sweet. You know what I mean? Like, she's just so sweet and frustrated, but she doesn't want to tell anybody because she doesn't want to burden anybody. See what I'm saying? So this person on the other end, who is what the effing on this right now? I'm so confused. I'm not sure what the effed, but anyway, do you guys get what I'm saying? So you want that connection on the other end. You want it to be very, 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 very specific. No, I just wanted to know what was what the F, so we could talk through the what the F. You know what I mean? Anyway, so did everybody do it? You guys got to write down. First, have fun with the name. What's his or her name? You know what I mean? What is, mine, for example, is a 35-year-old, go figure, mom that, has 2 to 3 kids. Like I said, like she smiles on the outside, but in the inside, she's really, really frustrated, but she doesn't know why she's frustrated. She really doesn't know who to talk to about it because she doesn't want to look weak, but she's starting to become numb inside. Okay, she hasn't been divorced, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities if she keeps going in the direction that she's going. She wears workout clothes all the time and usually a baggy shirt, and she definitely doesn't undress in front of her spouse, and she kind of like sits away from him. Do you know what I mean? Like she really wants to eat well, but she has this perfectionism mindset that she gets so stuck in her head that she snaps. You see how specific it is? That is who I'm talking to. She yo-yos back and forth. She'll be really good for a while with things, with everything, with being a wife, with being a mom, with nutrition, with working out, like really, really good. And then boom, screw it. I can't be everybody's everything. Like this is Isabella in her head, but on the outside, she's just smiling right away. Like she's like, no, it's good. We're good. You know what I mean? We're good. I'm good. We're good. Okay. So that's how specific, that's who I'm talking to. That makes sense? Okay. So, Christy, that's why you and I connected.
Right. Tell my story for me.
All right. Okay.
All right. So, number 3 is setting a standard. So, so this can be as simple as if you, again, go back to an old college talking about amateurs versus professionals, but setting a standard of how you run your business. So, Jess, you want to take your points for that?
Sure. So just like setting the bar, and then Danny, she's very adamant about setting a standard, or she was anyway on Monday. But she said, like, do you set a standard of no failures? Like, if they can't follow directions, don't get started. Like, set that bar. Because, don't just accept anybody and everybody, which I know I'm definitely guilty of even still, because I want to help so many people. But if they're not willing to, work at it, which kind of leads into I don't even know, I think this is one of the points. But don't get emotionally attached to your business or emotionally attached to, the outcomes, because, and this was definitely as a pearl, definitely one to work on, because like if they failed, I feel like I failed, or if they did well, I felt like I did well. It was all based on what they did. But if I give them the tools and I give them what they need to succeed and they choose not to, that I have to separate myself from that outcome, because that wasn't my fault. I did I did what I could. I was there for that, I'm there for them and love them no matter where they're at. But if I give them the tools to succeed, and they don't, that's not something that I have to, necessarily blame myself for. So removing that emotion, and she talks about, like, you wouldn't get emotionally attached to a vending machine, which I don't think we would, but that was the example that she used. So I guess that kind of maybe goes together in a way. So those were, I guess, a couple. And then she also says creating a job description. Like for me, it was, I'm looking for people that are self-motivated, teachable, hardworking individuals that enjoy helping others while, staying accountable in their own health and fitness. That's what I'm looking to join my team. And coming into this, I attracted a lot of the same people that I was at the time. So these are people that are not so much interested in working the business, and honestly, that's kind of where my rank, I think, is faltered a little bit. But now that doesn't mean I'm not going to love them where they're at. It just means, I need to keep recruiting, which is the 80%, in phase 1, which is what we're talking about. So creating a job description, creating that avatar, knowing exactly who you're going for, who you're recruiting, and who you want to, build this thing with, it's definitely crucial. So if you haven't created a job description, I would definitely do that too.
Yeah, and that's something. So we have a coach opportunity webinar always coming up at the beginning of the month. Like, that was powerful me at this event. If you write out the job description, that's what you can use when you're posting about it. Like, post a fun picture of something you've done in the team, or, some way that this has affected you, and put that job description. Because then, and I cannot tell you how many times I put things out like that and I don't have anyone comment, I'm ready to join or like it or anything. And a month later or 2 weeks later, someone says, hey, I saw that post that you did about it. Can you tell me? So even if people aren't liking it, you're not getting 1,000 applications from your one post, it's okay. It's planting that seeds. They're seeing it and they know what you're looking for. So to kind of something I listened to today that puts on this really well is there's 3 areas for setting a standard, and you have to do a gut check with yourself first. Number 1 is your belief. And like Summer touched on, what do you believe about this business? If you believe it's too expensive, or if you believe there's not enough time, or you believe any of these objections that we get, you're going to produce them. If you believe that there's an amazing opportunity, the tools work, and if I hand you the tools with good support, they're going to have success, you're going to see more success. You're also going to have some people that don't follow through, and that is life. Even if you plant a whole garden of tomatoes and seeds and water them every day, not every single tiny seed is going to grow. That doesn't mean that you failed as a farmer. It just means that not every seed is going to grow. However, if you plant them and say, forget it, I'm not good at this anyways, they will all die. Like, that's just the way it works. So number 1 is your belief. And if you're struggling with belief, go to the team page. There's tons of personal development that can help you there. And make sure you have finished a program. That's the 2 things I can tell you right now that have helped me anytime I struggle with belief. Getting my PD and doing a program the way it's prescribed. The second part she talks about is your attitude. So when you're talking to people on the phone, are you smiling? When you're typing, are you smiling? It really can come across. Are you excited to tell them about this business? Are you, calm? That's another thing too. Yes, you can be excited, but you also need to be calm. Like, if they don't get back to you right away, it's fine, because people have lives. You have to have that demeanor. I'm going to get in, I'm going to send the messages, and I'm going to check back at 8 o'clock at night. I'm not going to check back in 20 minutes, and I'm not going to check back in half an hour and see what they said. And then the third one is authority. So this kind of is that next step on belief, but especially with setting the standard. So do you have the authority? If you're talking to someone and they just constantly are full of, it's not going to work for me anyways, I don't have time, maybe next month, those people, you need to end the conversation and move on to a next prospect, because you're not going to convince them. And even if you do convince them, you're going to continue to have to convince them over and over and over again. That's something that really hit with me. If I convince someone to do a challenge pack, and then I convince them to be a coach, then I'm going to have to convince them to stay active, and that's just exhausting. If instead you love them and say, you know what? These are the tools that work. They've worked for me. They work for my friend Jess, and you can give them stories and they're not ready. You say, girl, that is okay that you are good where you're at. I will be here in 6 months. And if you need me, check in, and then put them on your list and cycle them around and check on their life and their family and how things are going. And they will come around. You just have to be here long enough. But just spending time trying to work through objection after negativity is exhausting. So you really have to have the authority that you are choosing good people, and then move on from there. Jess, anything on that?
No, that was great. That's perfect. The only thing that kind of jumped out to me that day was, she said, you are what determines success, not whatever the thing is. So, the factor that will make this thing work or not is you. And with that, she kind of gave the example of Thomas Edison and trying to figure out the light bulb, because it took him 10,000 times before he got it right, but he kept going and he did persevere. So it's not a matter of and she talks about conditional. What is that? Darn it, I had it somewhere.
Conditionally committed.
Yes, conditionally committed. So it's not like, I'll try this for a couple months, and if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to give up on it. If you go into it with that attitude, you're not going to succeed. That never leads to success. And honestly, that's probably who you're going to actually attract. And so, but and then again, she does still talk about like you are what determines success, not, you know, your circumstances. And again, kind of like you were talking about, attitude, belief, all that stuff plays a part in all of that. So, but you are the determining factor, and that one kind of hit me pretty hard. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know, if you had a boss, would you be fired, or are you going to work so that you wouldn't be fired, that you'd be promoted? Like, think of it that way, because that's what we're working towards, is promotions, getting more people involved. So are you working the way you would if you were for a promotion? So the very last part of this, and it'll be kind of quick, but it's pretty simple, is just the 5 steps when you get these contacts. So you're in phase 1, you have contacts. How do we deal with them the best way? So number 1 is when you get a referral, or someone stops you at the park, or you're sending a new message, and the conversation starts and they ask you some questions about Beachbody, and you absolutely don't give them all the information. You want to be asking questions and not providing all the information. Whoever's asking the question has control of the situation. So for example, you know, I'll be at the park with a mom and be like, hey, I know you've been doing this for a while. Can you tell me more about it? And instead of saying, you know, it's Beachbody and I've been doing it for 2 years and I've made $2,000 this month and I say, you know what, I'd love to talk to you more, but I really want to play with the kids right now and just hang out. When's a good time to talk on the phone? Or can I shoot you a message tonight? So you always want to leave them wondering more. A real short, like, yeah, it's been great. It's really helped my family in this way, and fill in the blank. And I'd love to talk to you more about it. And then step 2 is forming, which is in the Like a Boss training, and many ways to do that. But basically that is finding out. So when you have that conversation later, again, you don't just spill the product on them. You want to find out more about them. F is family. O is occupation, R is recreation, and M is message. So until you know about their family, their occupation, and their recreation, you should not be giving them any messages. And then the message needs to be in the form of a script or a video or something that is duplicatable. So we have scripts on this team. You go to your team page and you can pull the videos of the different programs, something that is duplicatable, simple, and easy, so you can share that with your team. With the idea that you're helping them first. Because you said, and you need to fill in their need, I think this might be a great fit. You always want to lead with how you can help them. And sometimes it's not going to be what's best for you financially. I have people that come in and I say, you know what? I really need you to be in this 3-day power positivity group, and let's work on our goals and our mindset and where we're going, where I could have pushed and said, nope, let's get a challenge pack now, let's get started, but they wouldn't be successful. They're not in the right place. So know that, always really check your heart when you go into it. Are you trying to get those last 2 SC points? Or are you trying to fit the best need for them? So that's step 3. And then step 4 is getting them started right. So whatever they agree to, make sure you follow through with it. So if it's sending them recommendations on a book, or if it's getting a challenge pack, on the team page, there's tons of information on getting a new challenger started. What do you send them? Here's the meal plan. Get them in a group. Same thing with the coach. Get them the 7-day Like a Boss training. Get them the news for the webinar, the times and the date for the webinar. So get them set up right, because that's the commitment you made to them. But then after that point, it's in their court to do something next. So, sorry, that was super quick, but I wanted to get that to you. So when you have all these amazing contacts from farmers markets and such, you know what to do. So.
That was good, you guys. I have lots of notes here, and I'm like referring, like I have like all my Danny notes, and I'm like, oh, that was talked about here, and that was talked about here, and highlighting things. It's this, you guys, this stuff is amazing. It's not that you're getting, it's not brand new content. Danny talks about it all the time, but sometimes it's how it's delivered or the story that it's weaved into, or you show up over and over again because you're in different season of your coaching that something hits you a little differently. And so I want to highlight some of the things that she said. You guys, she said you have to create a job description, and that's vital. So I want you to highlight that. You have to have your avatar, you have to know who you're talking to, and you have to know who you're after to be on your team. And this is what I wrote down when I went through this again with Danny, and I went through this 5 years ago and every other time I went, but this is what I wrote down this time. I'm looking for people that have a track record of commitment. A track record. I don't want people that lack commitment in everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sling them on my back. You know what I mean? I want people that have a track record of commitment, who are hungry to learn. Not perfect, not smart. I haven't said they need to have a PhD or college education or they're certified in P90X or Insanity or anything like that. A hungry to learn. Someone, you guys understand, someone that is hungry to learn, man, I can mentor you. And I know that. I know this team can. If you're hungry to learn, the resources that we have on this team, you have everything you need as long as you come hungry to learn, and you're a team player. I want team players. I want people that come in and they're ready, like as they're doing invites, they're ready to share it. They're ready to share what they're doing well, what's not going well. Team players, that's what team players do, right? We make each other better. That's what I'm looking for. Self-motivated. I don't want to work with someone that's always looking for me to be the motivator. I mean, Danny talks about that. We are 30-some years old. If we're always looking for someone else to motivate us, we're always going to be waiting to be motivated, because that motivation, like, I can motivate people for a hot second. Like, you guys could get off this and be like, damn, her energy is awesome. I feel motivated. You go to bed, you wake up in the morning, and what happened to the motivation when I'm not in your ear? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good to have that environment, but that motivation to carry on after, when the dog poops on the floor, or the baby wakes up at night, or your husband gets laid off, Christy, Vincent, or do you see what I'm saying? That self-motivation to keep going is vital, and that's what I'm looking for. Diligence. I'm looking for someone that is diligent, someone looking at the big picture, that they're faithful with the little things, you know what I mean? And they're not in their head all the time and all that. I know that's what I'm looking for. And so in my invite process, when people are yo-yoing back and forth, I'm like, hey, I just posted an example of this today. Like, hey, I have the resources for you. So as long as you're hungry to learn, as long as you're a team player, as long as you're self-motivated, as long as you're diligent, we can do this. See what I'm saying? And if they're like, oh, wait, well, I'm not really a self-motivated person, and you know what, Summer, I'm not really diligent. Okay, that's okay. When it all clicks for you, as you keep moving through your journey, I'm still going to be right here. That's my job description.
No way.
No, yes way. Absolutely. Yes way. And so that's vital that you get that down and you posture yourself that way. That you want to work with people like that. Okay, so I highlighted that really, really big. The other thing I highlighted really big is the forming process, the process of going in and helping people. Like, your mindset is to serve, and this is vital. Danny said something at the last event. It was a bonus section on Saturday that she just went like forever. I mean, I was like, my hand was tired. I was just writing on extra paper that I had, you know what I mean? And this is what she said. If you're afraid to make calls, if you're afraid to send messages, if you're afraid to invite, it's because you know you're in it for you.
Stand up for just a minute.
Let me just take a pause for a second so some of you guys can catch your breath on that one. Because I did. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, huh. You know what I mean? Like, if you are afraid to call people, we have a couple lines unmuted. If you guys can mute your stuff. If you're afraid to send an invite, you know that it's because your invite is with the intention to get something only. And that's how we were made, how we were, woven together in our mother's womb. We weren't made that way. You know what I mean? And that makes us feel shaky like this Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? But when you go in saying, like, I'm going to serve this person, my heart is for this person. When you walk to a park and you start talking to people, let's say the RV park that we were just at, and you're just there asking questions about family, like, where did you come from? You know what I mean? Tell me about your kids. You know, and she starts pouring your heart out to you about how her kid is a sapphire. I knew right away she didn't know what that was, but he was bouncing all over the place. He was getting bullied at school, and that's why she started homeschooling, and this is why they were now, hold on, you guys, let's mute those. We have some lines open. You know, hold on. Does anybody know where that's coming from? Anyway, so if you know, when I went into that conversation, I mean, I was almost in tears just for this woman that was opening her heart. She was in the little lot right next to us, and she told all about everything. There was no intention to sell her a challenge pack, and I haven't. But you guess what she is doing? She is reading Famous in Heaven and at Home. We're messaging back and forth, and she's in the Girl Boss group. Do you see what that was? Because we found out we have a love for personal development, and we have a love for our maker, and we have a love for our kids. Do you know what I mean? And she sounded just like me, yo-yoing back and forth, and her mom always said, you could be smaller. I mean, we got into all these conversations, deep conversations, that I could have been like, you know what? Have you ever considered doing a challenge group with me? It would have made sense. But it was not what I was there for. And the connection was not right. Does that make sense? My heart was for her. And we need to build the relationship, right? And so you guys, your heart has got to be for the people. I don't care. Like, I was talking to Chad today with our real estate business. I said, Chad, your heart has got to be for the people living in the flipping house. You know what I mean? Like, every month or every couple months, can you imagine if you wrote them a thank you card, Chad, that said, hey, I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate that you guys are loving that house just as much as we did. Thank you so much for taking care of it. Do you know, can you imagine as a renter, how would you feel? And how would you feel as a renter if every year on your anniversary, the person renting it, you're renting it from, sent you chocolate-covered strawberries? Thank you so much. Enjoy these strawberries at a date with your wife on me. Thank you. Do you know what they would do when they're about to move out? They'd be like, dudes, Facebook, whatever, we're about to move out of this house, but dude, man, if anybody needs this house in this area, these people are, do you see what I'm saying? That is where our heart has to be. We have to go and disconnect from the benefits that we get, disconnect from the rank advancement, disconnect from the damn Success Club points, and go out there and fill our funnel with amazing relationships in the ponds that Jess talked about. Meet people, love people. That is what we're called to do. And if you do that, your business will grow. Not maybe, will grow. It is the recipe. It's part of it. Okay? Woo! My breath. What else did I highlight? I think that about does it. Hold on. Yep, that does it. Anybody else anything to add there, Jess? No? Okay. All right. So we had a good night, right? We did. That was incredible. That was an amazing, I hope you guys I hope you become a student of that. They gave you, honestly, you could take what they taught you with building a contact list, making your avatar and speaking to them, and then getting to know people and removing the benefit from yourself and just filling up your funnel of love. I know the men listening are probably like, ugh, you know what I mean? But seriously, I had that, Chad and I talked about this today. It doesn't exclude you, Chad, and it doesn't exclude your business in real estate, and it's not going to exclude his business as he's going to start in aviation. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't exclude any of that. You have to go in it because there are Jessica's out there and Christy's out there that don't feel that they fit in, that are starting to go through the motion, that don't feel like they belong anywhere, that needs you to care more about them than care about yourself. And if you run a business like that, you will end up with a business like Jess and like Christy. I can absolutely freaking guarantee it because you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. Christy and Jess, flipping amazing phone call. I'm fired up, and I don't know how I'm going to go to sleep now. So thank you for that. Chris, do you have anything?
I was just saying, don't forget to water the tomatoes.
Heck yes. I mean, I was like, that's a good one. I mean, think about that. When you plant tomatoes, do you think every tomato is going to be perfect? And just like, I hear this from coaches all the time, like, how come not all my coaches are doing anything? Like, think about that. The tomato plant, not every one of them is perfect and round and has, you know what I mean? And it's just so juicy. No, some of them don't even grow. But you don't look at the tomato garden and go, man, I must suck. How come sometimes we start to build this business and some people don't go with us, and all of a sudden we start questioning our leadership? Like, I must suck as a leader. That's crazy. Do you know what I mean? That's as crazy as a farmer having like a handful of tomatoes not grow and being like, I think I'll throw in the towel with this whole farming thing. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. Focus on your sprouts. Focus on the tomatoes that do grow and keep planting. All right, you guys, have an awesome night. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Good job, you guys.